"Here I am. Home," Finn whispered, his voice trembling with excitement. Exiting the elevator and approaching his old apartment door, Finn opened it, set down his huge suitcase, and stepped inside. His heart pounded so fiercely it felt ready to burst from his chest. His whole body quivered. Entering the living room, he saw that the spacious yet lifeless and unwelcoming room remained exactly as he had left it 14 years ago. A vase with artificial roses still stood on the table, an unread book beside it. Years of dust covered everything, yet it all felt achingly familiar and dear. Finn walked to the window and gazed down pensively. Children played in the yard just as they had 14 years ago. He reflected on his past life. Once a happy child, fate had cruelly taken his parents shortly after his 18th birthday. Grief-stricken, he had joined the army, hoping a new life would help him forget and heal. In his hometown, Finn had left behind Angela, his girlfriend. She had seen him off with tears, swearing eternal love and devotion. The thought of her waiting for him had warmed his soul and helped him face the challenges ahead. At first, Finn and Angela exchanged regular letters, professing their love and sharing their experiences. But one day, Finn received a letter that changed everything. His childhood friend, Michael, wrote to inform him that Angela had married someone else. Finn's heart seemed to stop beating. Finn found it incredibly difficult to endure his beloved's betrayal, but time gradually healed his wounds and dulled the acute heartache. He never received another letter from Angela, concluding she had cut him out of her life for good. After his service ended, Finn had planned to return home, but couldn't face the feelings he had suppressed. Instead, he headed north, where he found a good job and stayed for 14 long years. Suddenly, Finn noticed a box on the top shelf, where he had once kept his cherished possessions. He quickly retrieved it and began pulling out items that had once meant so much to him. Childhood photos, 2 small toy cars from his parents, a wooden squirrel his father had carved for him. Among these mementos lay an old notebook. Finn opened it and began leafing through it slowly. He froze upon seeing a large heart drawn in red ink on one page. Inside the heart was a number he had dialed countless times, Angela's number. Without thinking, Finn picked up his phone and dialed his ex-girlfriend's number after 14 years. His fingers shook violently, and as the call connected, his breath caught with trembling excitement. The ringing seemed to last an eternity. Finn was about to hang up when he heard a familiar female voice, one he would have recognized among thousands. "Hello," the dazed man whispered, afraid to say aloud the name of the woman who had never left his thoughts and memories for so many years. "Hello," replied a crisp, melodious voice. "How are you? How are you doing?" "I'm fine. I'm doing fine. Let's meet up?" "Let's. I'll be waiting for you in the park by the fountain today." "Deal." Finn's hands trembled as he ended the call. This impulsive act was the cry of a heart longing for love. He could scarcely believe what had just transpired. He had spoken to Angela as if the 14 years of separation and her betrayal had never happened. Finn longed to see her and look into his beloved's eyes at least once. His personal life had not gone well. While in the north, he married but soon realized he had made a grave mistake. He could never be happy with the woman he called his wife. A year after the wedding, Finn divorced. Since then, there had been no serious relationships in Finn's life. Before meeting his first love, Finn felt as nervous as a schoolboy on his first date. They agreed to meet in the park at noon sharp. Finn's sense of reality vanished when he saw a girl standing near the fountain, dressed in a light dress and a Panama hat. It seemed as if he had miraculously fallen into the past, where his beloved was very young and beautiful. "Angela!" he exclaimed, gazing enchantedly at the girl. The girl approached him and said with surprise, "I'm not Angela. I'm her daughter." "Daughter?" Finn repeated in confusion, staring at the girl with a piercing, bewitched look. "I'm Hannah. I recognize you. You're the man from my mother's photo album. I saw you in the photos she keeps and recognized you immediately." Finn was incredibly embarrassed and confused. He realized he wasn't talking to Angela, but to her school-age daughter, who looked exactly like her. Even their voices were identical, which astonished Finn. He asked Hannah to take him to Angela, explaining that he needed to talk to her. The girl willingly agreed and soon brought him to her house. Hannah decided to surprise her mother. "Mum, I'm back," she called out loudly, taking off her shoes. "It's good to have you back so early. I was going to ask you to run food for the cat," said Angela, emerging from the kitchen with a huge black cat in her arms. Seeing Finn in the hallway of her own house, Angela was stunned. She opened her hands, releasing the cat. Her heart pounded frantically in her chest as Finn slowly approached her. "Hello, Angela," he said. "Finn," Angela whispered, not believing her eyes. "What are you doing here, after all these years?" Hannah intervened in their conversation and told about how she had answered the phone while her mother was in the shower. The screen showed the name that was written on the back of every photo. Eyeing her worried, confused mother and Finn in the same state, she decided to leave them alone and hurried to the store to get cat food. "You showed up after 13 years, Angela stated matter-of-factly. "All this time I lived in the north. I came home only yesterday. Seeing my hometown, the streets with which so many memories are connected, it's like I'm back in the days when we were happy," Angela finished for him. "Yes, those were the times I revisited. What a shame that reality has been so harsh on my dreams. All these years I wanted to ask you, looking into your eyes, why did you treat me like that? Why did you betray our love? When Michael told me you had found another man and were happy with him, my world turned upside down. At first I hated you for your betrayal, and then I was relieved. It's true what they say. Time heals. I accepted your choices and actions, and even wished you happiness with your new partner. But I couldn't forget." Angela listened to Finn in a state of shock. Everything she heard seemed incomprehensible. Finn said that Michael had written him a letter, accusing Angela of infidelity. Yet Angela had always been faithful to Finn, and never looked at anyone else. Gradually she began to realize what had happened to them years ago. "Michael said such a thing to you? How dare he make such a ridiculous accusation? I've been with no one and never married. I've loved only you all my life, and even when your friend started courting me, I rejected him." "Michael courted you?" Finn asked, surprised. "He was persistent, but soon realized he wouldn't succeed. I was heartbroken then, not knowing how to cope with your perceived betrayal. Michael told me you had met another girl on duty and intended to build a serious relationship with her. The day Michael told me this, I felt like I died inside. I suffered for a long time, crying into my pillow, and even moved to another city, hoping to heal and forget you. But I came back. I didn't want to raise my daughter in a foreign place. I promised myself I would never ask about you again and would cut you out of my life." By this point, they both realized who had caused the tears they'd shed and the pain they'd each endured for over a decade. Finn and Angela stood opposite each other, stunned, discouraged, and pale from the shock they had just experienced. Finn broke the silence, asking with great hope, Hannah is my daughter, isn't she?" Angela nodded silently, her face immediately brightening. Finn, unable to control his emotions, hugged the crying woman tightly. "We've lost so many years of our lives because of this scoundrel who did such a cruel and unfair thing to us. I'm ready to tear him apart," Finn said, blazing with devastating hatred for the man who had once been his friend. "Don't," Angela whispered softly, pressing her cheek affectionately against her beloved's. "There have been many injustices in our lives. Let's not waste time on those who don't deserve it. Let's just live happily ever after, like in a fairy tale." Finn smiled, holding Angela tighter and tighter as she wiped away tears of happiness. He knew for certain that he would never let go of his love again, no matter what life might bring.